Now, there's a recent poll that was taken that showed that a majority of Republicans, yes, Republicans, would actually attend a same-sex marriage of a loved one. Now, you may have heard a lot that if you, especially when it comes to the selling of cakes to same-sex couples for same-sex wedding, that's being part of that wedding. That's officially sanctioning the lifestyle if you sell them a cake. Well, it turns out that according to a Reuters Ipsos poll, that 56% of Republicans would actually be part of this wedding. So, selling them a cake doesn't seem like so much of a big deal anymore if you would actually be there. You know what I mean? Like I said, according to this poll, 56% of Republicans would attend the gay wedding of a loved one if they were invited. 80% of Democrats asked the same question, would attend. 70% of independents said they would go. Overall, according to the poll, 68% of Americans would attend a same-sex marriage if invited, while 19% would not, and 13% were unsure, which I would only assume. Why would you not go? I'm sure the food is probably fabulous.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually surprised that the overall numbers are that low, because I think that...
Especially in the Democrat side.
Yeah, I'm surprised there was any opposition in the Democrat side. But you do have, your share of dinos and stuff like that,
sure,
that even socially are still pretty conservative. But, yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of people, because even based on the question, it's just saying, like, would you attend? You have a lot of people, or I shouldn't say a lot of people on the right that will, they kind of come around a little bit to, well, because of my religious beliefs or whatever it may be, I oppose this lifestyle, but I have LGBT friends, I have LGBT family, and, I still, it's like, what's the big, like, love the sin or hate the sin, whatever, which, to me doesn't, in this context doesn't really make sense, but, for some people, that's their justification, where it's like, yes, I would still attend because it's my loved one, but I don't necessarily agree with it. Is that yeah, well, I mean, in my opinion, it's not really fair, but, it's progress a little bit. It's a little bit of progress. It's a step in a better direction. Because usually, when you know somebody, then you're like, oh, well, I have a friend who's gay, and I don't like the idea of them not being treated well. And then maybe that causes you to go inward and really review what you believe and look at the fact that there's actually a lot of science out there that points to homosexuality is not a choice. It's something that people are born that way. Just like, you didn't choose your heterosexuality. Well, someone else didn't choose their homosexuality. Mm-hmm. So maybe, just maybe, you need to rethink some things, and you need to recognize that, hey, I still have my religious beliefs, but maybe this is just part of the mystery that this supreme being gave me to try to figure out. So I'm just going to love my neighbor as myself, and I'm just going to kind of let these ideas go and realize that maybe I need to, kind of just keep digging deeper in my Bible and try to figure this stuff out.
I'm a bit more optimistic than you, and let me tell you why. So, a large percent of, a majority of Republicans now say, as I said, they'll go to a gay wedding. That means that they're actually, supportive of the idea of letting them have their wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of, I think, when you kind of isolate that from everything else, think, well, that means that even a majority of Republicans would be okay if they'll go to a gay wedding. Then doesn't that mean that they'll sanction them to actually have a gay wedding?
Yeah, you
finding
are
the bright
more
side in
optimistic.
everything, man.
No, I like that. I mean, yes, you're definitely, because I kind of took it as more like, well, if it's going to happen anyway, if I have a gay friend, I would not go just because I'm opposed to same-sex marriage or whatever. I would still go because they're my friend or they're my family, and I want to, join them in that joyous occasion to show support for them, even though my personal beliefs or whatever, go against this. That's what I kind of interpreted it more. Right. Although, to your point, and to, be fair, to say I'm not lumping all Republicans together. There's a lot of Republicans that are completely in support of same-sex marriage. They're definitely out there. There's a lot of Christians that are in support of same-sex marriage. They're out there. So I'm not trying to cast everybody together by any means, nor am I trying to, pigeonhole everybody, because I know that, there's a lot of gray area. There's a lot of people that interpret different things differently and have, feel the same way about same-sex marriage that I do, which means they're 110% in support of it, even though they might have other beliefs or whatever that aren't in alignment with mine, so.
Yeah, and there's nothing that says that you can't have those beliefs biblically and spiritually, but at the same time, the thing that we always argue for is that, is it right for you to use your religion to justify depriving someone else of another right? Of a right that you enjoy with the people that, you love. And I think a lot of people are getting that. That's a message I think that seems to resonate. Well, why am I preventing them from marrying someone? I don't agree with it, but that doesn't mean that I should be able to shut that down for someone, especially someone that I know and care about.
Yeah. And just to clarify, because I think sometimes I might come off as the person that's coming down really hard on religious beliefs or stuff like that. And I'm sorry.
Have you seen some of my videos? I'm pretty sure people are like, oh man, why does that guy hate freedom? Why does he hate religion?
Well, here's my thing. All right. There's a great movie out there that I recommend you see, Jeff, if you haven't already, called For the Bible Tells Me So. And one of the very powerful statements in that video, this one, and it was a theologian, actually, that came forward and was like, look, here's the thing. If you're going to read your Bible and that's your narrative or whatever, that's okay. You're allowed to believe that. No problem. But if you're going to read it with the comprehension skills of a 7-year-old, that's okay if you're 7 years old. But if you're not, you got to up the ante a little bit more. Meaning you have to read that book through a historical lens, through a certain context. You need to realize that there were a lot of language barriers. There's a lot of things that aren't quite fully complete. And if you don't realize that, well, then that's when you have all these kind of bogus subscriptions where, homosexuality must be wrong. Well, it's like, well, okay, well, if you wear a cotton polyester blend or if you eat shrimp or if you have tattoos, you're also going to hell too. So you better believe all that stuff as well.
And if you get divorced,
that's all in there too.
Or if you have, sex out of wedlock, any of that stuff.
Well, and there's even something in the Old Testament that basically says it's okay to sleep with your cousins. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff in there, and you have to kind of take it as there's a historical context here. I mean, and when you go through each thing, you can kind of say there's rational explanations as to why something like this would have been written at this time. It doesn't mean that some supreme being said homosexuality is wrong. It just means that in that history, they probably saw it going on somewhere, didn't know what it was, something like that. And there's other explanations. I mean, even the whole ham thing, they didn't know how to preserve that stuff. They didn't know how to preserve shellfish. So that's why that kind of stuff's in there. And so, I think it's one of those things. There's nothing wrong with having your religious beliefs, but you have to be introspective about it. You have to be seeking. You have to be searching for that knowledge, because according to what you believe, at least to my understanding, you're constantly seeking truth.
I have a little bit of a theory too. I think, back in obviously the Roman times, the Romans practiced that, homosexuality, at that point. And one of the things about Christianity is that it was very small. There weren't a lot of people. And so, homosexuality, as like I said, it was practiced in Rome. They wanted to distance themselves from the Romans, right? And also want to increase their population. More Christians equals a better chance at survival, etc., right? So it makes two good reasons in their eyes to try to, write that in as a rule.
Maybe. I mean, hey man,
like I said, it's a theory, but to me it would make sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't
something
that
now that, we have millions of Christians around the world, that maybe it's a rule that they can kind of let go of now. You're okay, Christians. There's enough of us now.
Yeah. In the United States, you're still about 77%, so, it's okay. You can... Fair enough, man. Hey, I can't, I can't knock your theory.
Yeah, well, seems pretty sound to me.
Yeah.
All right, so do you have anything more to say on that, or just
we really went pretty deep with that one. I was not expecting us to get that involved with that. I mean, eventually I'm gonna be going over to the other room and getting my Bible, and we're really gonna be like dissecting stuff, and because I will say I guess by definition I am an agnostic, but I had read the Bible cover to cover, Jeff, because YOLO, got to do it.
Right.
But I did read that book cover to cover, and it's an interesting read. It's an interesting read.
Well, if you get past the genealogy stuff, anyway.
I skimmed that. I did the Cliff Notes version for that, and I didn't actually read every single gospel. I only read one of them, but I did read that book. Just because I was like, I gotta go to the source, I gotta see what it's all about, whatever. Sure. I was raised Catholic, so we never read the Bible. That's not something Catholics do. So, we don't. They don't read the Bible. They have a priest reads it to them every Sunday and then tells them what it means, and they're like, okay, I'm dressed better than so-and-so. That's Catholicism. That's what they do.
It sort
yeah.
of sounds like some of our political, discourse.
Oh, yeah.
Here's what that actually means.
Yeah, right? Mr. Kucinich, you're the only person that voted against the Patriot Act. Yeah, that's because I read it. That's because I read the bill.
Yeah. It turns out you can slap any Orwellian name onto a bill and make it sound better than it actually is.
Turns out. And just have a lot of pieces of paper in there.
You could call something, the Freedom Mom and Apple Pie bill, which could actually, be the complete opposite.
Yeah, now
it could be a bill to send to FEMA camps. You don't know unless you read it.
Well, now that you said something, there's going to be an apple pie bill, and it's probably going to be terrible. It's probably going to probably going to strip us of every civil liberty completely, and it was like, thanks, Jeff, way to go.
And
they
it will
passed
also
it because it was called the apple pie bill.
It will also ban, ironically, apple pie.
You can have it; it just can't have real sugar in it.
Yeah. Thanks, Obama.